Good morning. I am Diane Simmons from Cake Connection in Jackson, Michigan, and today I'm going to take you to my happy place. We're going to make Gumpaste Flowers. This, I didn't realize how much I missed this until I sat down last night prepping for class, and I sat here for 3 hours just playing and in my little zone. So, anyways, I'm just going to show you some basic techniques today. We're going to make some roses, a couple different filler flowers, and some leaves. I'm going to show you some quick tricks that I figured out over the years along the way. And then a lot of these techniques can be transferred over to other types of flowers. So we'll get you the basics and get you running. Before we get going, let's show today's prize giveaway. We have some paper-covered wires, some of our Pristine Powders petal dust, one of our handy-dandy little palette knives that we've been using in a lot of different videos, and a ball tool, okay? Be sure and let us know that you're here. Just give a quick shout-out or go share our video today. We always appreciate the shares, okay? But let us know you're here. So, I am going to just talk you through, actually we'll do that first I guess. I just posted the recipe on the Facebook page for the gum paste that I use, okay, and I'm not going to make some because it takes me about 10 minutes, so if people are having a lot of trouble, if you let me know, I can make a quick video. We can do like a time lapse, whatever it's called. I have my daughter's handy with all that stuff. But Eric and I can shoot that and then we can get it posted if we need to. But I'm pretty sure I can just talk you through it okay. So it's basically egg whites, powdered sugar, CMC powder, which is also known as Tylose. Okay, and then some shortening, which should I put away? So then just some shortening also, okay? But I normally use my stand mixer, mix the egg whites, the powdered sugar, beat those together for, probably 3 to 5 minutes, right in there, all right? And it's just going to be essentially a soft royal icing at that point. And then you're going to sprinkle in your Tylose or CMC powder, all right? Measure that out, sprinkle that in. Turn your mixer up on high for about 30 seconds, and it's going to thicken it almost instantly, and you're going to have little clumps and stuff, kind of cottage cheese reminiscent, to be honest with you. You're going to take the rest of your powdered sugar, because when you do this, you save about a cup or so in the bottom of your bag. Pour your powdered sugar out on your counter. Take your paste mix out of your bowl, scrape everything, all your edges, all your crumbles, everything, okay? Scrape your bowl completely, dump that in your powdered sugar. Take your shortening, put that just on top of it, and start kneading it all together, okay? Very likely, you know, I put up, this is all in the recipe I just posted, but very likely you won't use that entire cup or so that you reserved of your powdered sugar, okay? When it's done and, you know, you're kneading, it's going to feel real silky, okay? But the main test for it, as you're sitting here kneading it on the counter and stuff, okay, is take your thumb and your finger, pinch it together, and they shouldn't stick. All right? If you've hit that point, bag it up. Okay? And one thing I always stress to everyone, you can't overbag this. You want to keep the air off of your gum paste. Okay? So, here, this is my white, and then I colored a bunch of it last night too after I made it. So I have all my colors in their bags, and then I'm still putting it down inside. This is actually, the bigger one is a freezer, so it's thicker, okay? So that's our freezer bag. But but we're just really, really airproofing it, okay? When you pull your gum paste out, I just have a little bowl with some more shortening on it, okay? And I'm just going to put a little bit of that on my hands, and then you want to knead it, okay? And this gum paste basically is not a glove-friendly thing, okay? So just wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, and keep washing your hands. Okay, so I kneaded that with some shortening.
Got a couple quick questions.
Couple quick questions, yes.
Could you use powdered egg whites for your gum paste
I've
recipe?
never done it. I have no clue.
And then what kind of shortening do you use?
I always just use my high ratio shortening that I use for my frosting and stuff too. So I don't know that it would make a difference if you use Crisco with this. I haven't had Crisco around in so many years once they switched to the trans fat free and stuff. I was having so much trouble with it, working with it, just for my frosting and stuff. I literally stopped buying it at that point. But I'm not, it still might work. So this is just our little Dab-a-Dust friend. And I have some powdered sugar in there. And put a little bit more, not a lot, but just a little bit to roll it out so it doesn't stick when I roll it. Okay. And if you know me at all, if you've learned anything over all these classes, I have to have everything the same thickness, okay? I'm a little bit on the OCD side on this. So I know this is going to be a repeat for some if you've been watching all of our videos all along, but we'll just go real quick. That's why I didn't have Eric jump over here or anything. We're just going to go quick. Pasta roller, okay? Start at the thickest setting and work down to the thickness that you want, okay? I'm going to run this down to a number 4 because I'm going to make some daisies, so I want the leaves a little bit thicker on this, all right? And then after each pass, I'm turning it down 1 notch to get it thinner and thinner, okay? So there we were at number 3, and here we're at number 4. Okay? So, quick and easy. And now we're going to hop over here. And I actually, let me grab my Ziploc bag here. I'm not going to make these yet because I still have a few other things I want to show you. So I'm just going to cut a little section off of this that I need once we start making the flowers. So I have to show you the other steps first. So we don't need those quite yet. And when I put it in the bag, I'm just getting all the air out of it I can and then sealing it off, okay? Then I'm taking my leftover dough, or gum paste. Little plastic solo cups are a wonderful thing. You can just put those down, set the cup over it, and it keeps the air off of it, all right? I can't stress enough, air is not a friend of gum paste, all right? So that's your biggest thing. If you have it rolled out on your board, this is just a Ziploc bag, okay? I would lay that down over it. Whatever I'm doing, keep it covered up. All right, if you're not working with it right at that point, keep it covered, okay? So the rest of my stuff here I have pre-rolled out. So I have just a little bit of green here. I want to show you how I make my flower centers, okay? The green, this little section of green, I only rolled to a number 1 just so it's all the same thickness. You don't have to use a pasta roller. You can just use your rolling pin if you want, okay? And then just some round tips, okay, to get different sizes. If you are not fussy on everything being exactly the same, you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you. This is, honestly, it's quick and easy, and everything comes out exactly the same. Okay? So, I just go in here and cut a bunch of these. All right? I'm not going to make too many of them. So, you have all these little sections. You can check and see if you want to do just one little disc. You can. See if that's about the size you want. Okay. Sometimes I'll still use a smaller tip like this, but then I'll just put two of them together. Okay, just to make them a little bit larger. But if I have to do, you know, I had one cake I did for a competition that was at a flower. Gosh, what was it? It was a group of horticulture or something. It was part of an event down in Ohio, but it was something. It was like a horticulture flower club type thing. Okay, so we had to do something with flowers, obviously, and I made probably 150-ish hydrangeas. So I absolutely wanted all my centers the same. Like, no matter what, I want them all the same size. Okay? So I did use this method. I made sure I was rolling everything to the same thickness and using the same tip to cut with on all of them. Okay? Let me shove those back under here for just 1 second because I need to show you one more thing too. All right, to make gum glue, very quick and easy process. I just poured some water in here last night, just in my jar. I probably filled it up maybe a third of the way, okay? And then I just took some gum paste. Oops. So if this is what I was putting in there, I just kind of rolled little sections, just enough that they'd fit down in, okay, like that. I probably, I'm guessing that was about 2 tablespoons of water. I probably put like a grape size chunk in there altogether of gum paste. All right. And then let it sit overnight. And then you shake it up and you have gum glue. All right. If you're not going to use this for an extended length of time, I would recommend just put it in the refrigerator. Okay. In the refrigerator, I promise you're going to know if it's gone funky on you because it reeks. If you open this thing up and you can smell it instantly, dump it, obviously. But I always felt it was safe for at least 2 weeks once I had it mixed up. All right, but it's not super expensive or anything to use, so it's basically a thick liquid. All right, and that is your gum glue. That's what you're going to use to stick all your gum paste together. Okay, so now that I've got my little centers rolled out here, I'll put these up right here on the table so they show up good, hopefully. All right, so I'm going to take my 26 gauge wire, and this is paper covered wire. You don't want cloth covered, and I'm just dipping that into my gum glue and then sticking it into the gum paste, okay? Then over here, I have, this is some wet dry foam for flowers. Okay, and I just glued it on a piece of cardboard. I've had these for years, years, and years. Okay, they hold up great. But they're really nice. Just the dry foam that has a lot of holes in it, okay, that doesn't work good for these really fine wires. Typically, if you try pushing like a 26, a 28 gauge, you know, any of your thin wires down in that, it'll bend the wire before it'll let it go into it, okay? This stuff, as you can see, it goes in and out, super easy, doesn't bend the wire. So it's great for that. All right. So back to our centers. But you can see this is really a super quick process. Just dip in the gum glue, dip in our little ball, and put them in there to dry. Okay? I will, if I ever have, well, when I was doing these all the time, any green, I don't care what shade it was, I would take greens, yellows. If I had black or brown, I might make them too. Okay? Don't throw it away. Just make some centers real quick. They're super quick and easy to make, and you never know when you might need them for something last minute. Okay? Once you have them made up, you can just store them in a Ziploc bag after they're completely dry. These will be dry tomorrow. Okay? But these ones, that'll zoom in enough to see. These are some of my daisy centers that I just flattened out a little bit. Okay? But you can make all sorts of stuff. I'll make centers for calla lilies up ahead. Just make your centers up. Okay? So then, now we've shown you how to make the centers for, these are going to be used for our filler flowers, okay? So we have some leftover green here. And again, we don't care what color it is, all right? For our flower centers, for roses, okay? So we're gonna go to that next. This is what we are making, okay? I'm gonna show you how to make those. And these are our rose centers. Okay, so since I have some leftover green here, we'll do that right now. This is 18 gauge paper covered wire, all right? And if you haven't been with me before, when I've really stressed the difference on the wire, okay? Paper covered is definitely your Gumpaste flowers, your gelatin flowers. This is where you want to spend money on paper covered versus cloth covered wires, okay? Cloth covered typically is what you can get like at your big box craft stores, Joann's, Michael's. They're gonna have cloth covered wire in the floral section, all right? As far as I know, they don't carry any of the paper covered. Some of them might have it in the cake decorating section now. I don't know, but check with any of your small local cake supply stores are going to have this, okay? But the big difference, the paper covered does not come unraveled when it gets wet. And that is a huge issue with Gumpaste flowers, okay? So what I'm going to show you today, if you try using the the cloth covered, the cloth is just very thin strands of thread. The second we put it in the gum glue, it'll come unraveled, and then you won't have anything for the glue to stick to and the gum paste to stick to. So you really spend your money, get the paper covered wire, okay? So once we have, again, this was 18 gauge, this is the heavy, all right? So wires, the lower the number, the thicker and heavier the wire, all right? So 18 gauge is very heavy, very stiff wire. 30 gauge is the most commonly available here in the US. You can get 32, and I've seen rarely 33 gauge from England, but it's very few and far between. It's hard to find. It's going to be even more pricey. I haven't ran into an occasion where I've needed it, and I've done tons of gum paste over the years, so 30's always been about the most I've needed. Okay, so with our 18 gauge wire, you just want to put a hook in the end of it. All right? Just get a hook in there, and this is actually a little bit wider of a hook than what I need here. I'm just going to bend that down a little bit more. Okay. So you want a hook like that. Then we are going to take our gum paste and I'm just going to roll it into a ball. Okay? Set those aside. Push that out of the way. Okay, so we have a ball of gum paste, our hooked wire here. I'm just going to turn my glue up on the edge so I get a bunch on there. Dipping that in. Okay? And then from the bottom, and we're just pulling that up, okay? And then once I have it on there, I'm going to roll it into that teardrop shape, okay? And if you get a little bit of the glue on your fingers, which I just did, the gum paste is going to want to stick to your hands a little bit. If you have that happen, just put them on your powdered sugar, okay? And then you can still roll it. Now, once you do this, you want to hang it upside down. And if you think inside of this base, that hook is looping back up, facing upward, okay? So you want gravity to pull this down onto the hook to keep it on there. If you just went over here and sat it like that, gravity is going to pull that back off of the hook because the hook is inside. Another. Okay, so right now your hook is inside like this. The gravity is just going to pull it back off of the hook, so it's not going to stay stable in there, all right? So you do want to hang these upside down, okay? Even if you don't have any sort of, this is where normally I would use my pasta drying rack, okay? It is in deep storage and we cannot get to it right now. Eric can attest to that. My husband has overfilled our garage right now. So, alternatively, I will show you. There. So there, I have it hanging upside down, just so it dries. And these, you do want to give them a solid 24 hours. 48 hours does not hurt anything. And again, make these up. If you ever have extra gum paste that is getting yucky or you're done with that color or whatever, make some flower centers, okay? It does not matter what color the center is versus what color your flower is, all right? You're going to cover the center up so it literally, I've made black ones before. And then put white flower. They don't show, okay? So don't worry about it, being an odd color or, well, I've got purple, but I need yellow roses. It doesn't matter. Make your purple centers, okay? These are purple. Once they're dry, they are dry. That's how hard they are, okay? So, let me set those aside. All right, so there are your flower centers, and that's just some stuff that you need to do ahead, okay? And have those ready. So, here are some flower centers I just made up last night, okay? And then we've got the white gum paste that I rolled out a little while ago. Okay, and the other thing that I have is flower former, all right? We sell these here. Probably a lot of your cake supply stores are going to have these too. Or, okay, if you have one local. There's different sizes available. This just gives a cup to your flowers, okay? You don't have to use this if you don't want to. Alternatively, you could take some heavy-duty aluminum foil and make some little cups, some little indentations in it, okay? When I do this, I need Eric to zoom over here. Oops, I don't know if you can see this. Hang on. Right in the center of all these, I actually push the hole, because when you buy these, there's a little mark, but the hole itself is not in them, okay? I took one of my needle tools and actually pushed through, because it's a lot thinner right where the mark is. I pushed through those so I can put the wires down through them, okay? And we want that. That's a good thing, okay? But then you just hang it off the edge of your table, and then I just grab something heavy to sit out here just to weight it down, okay? Doesn't have to be super heavy. You can grab can of pop, bottle of water, whatever. Just set something there just to hold it down weight-wise, okay? So we have our flower former here ready. We have our centers that we made up last night that are dried, and again, you make these up months ahead of time, whatever, but they do need at least, like these have had 12 hours anyways. So, okay, so for our daisies, I'm going to put down just a little bit. I'm not putting a lot, but just some of the powdered sugar on. And I'm just rubbing. I'm not even smacking it down to get extra. I'm just rubbing over it just so there's a super, super light coating. Okay? These are just some of our plunger cutters. You can use metal cutters for this. I got these handy, so I grabbed those to use. Okay? So we're cutting down. I'm wiggling just to make sure I've got a good clean cut. And I'm going to set this here just to show you, and then we'll go back over and hang it up. Okay? But then we're just going to put these down in the center. Okay. Also, another thing for the daisy, for this size daisy, egg cartons actually work great too for this. If you need, an alternative. The other thing I really recommend, use the styrofoam ones, not the paper ones. Okay, or the heavy cardboard type egg cartons. The styrofoam, the glue is not going to stick to it. If you get any of this gum glue when we're putting these together on the cardboard ones, you're going to have a hot mess on there, I promise you. And they're going to stick to it, and you're not going to be happy. All right, so our gum glue. And I just got a little bit, I wiped the excess off, okay? We want just a little dot down in the center of these. Okay, and I'm doing both of them at one time, that's fine. All right, and then we're going to take our center, and you do have to move it around just a little bit just to find that hole. There we go. Okay, so then pull these down and just give a slight tug to assure that it has adhered to the glue that you put in there, all right? And then just have them hanging over. And I will usually, I'll do a couple now that I showed you up close. This is my normal process. I just have it hanging off to the side here. Okay. Put my flowers down in there. Grab my brush. I usually will do like a row of them. So I'll do 4 of them. I'll cut them out. Go back, put the glue in here. And then come back through and put the centers in. Okay? So 4 at a time, typically. I don't want the gum paste to risk drying that out. So, like I said, I'll do 4. Whoop. Okay, and that one just came off. Pulled a little too hard. And these, again, I just made these last night, so I'm not totally surprised that that just come off the... So here's what happened. Our wire came off our little center. If these had been sitting for any length of time, I don't think they would have been any chance of it coming off there. Okay? Like rarely, if ever, do I have those come off. But like I said, I'm not totally surprised that it did it, because I just made them last night. I wasn't worried about centers. I thought I had like a boatload of them all made up and totally forgot. Okay. There you can see, this is the one that came off, this one right here. And I just fixed it. Okay. I took the wire, put it down in the gum glue, and then stuck it back into that center. So once it all dries by tomorrow, this should be totally fine. Okay, so it is repairable. But anyways, when I was getting stuff around for the class, I thought I had a whole bunch of centers made up, so I wasn't overly worried, you know, time-wise, needing to have these dry up for us. Totally forgot that my son's bestie got married last summer, and I made Gumpaste Flowers for his cake. And I used all my centers up. So, we'll blame Kalen, because he's not here, right?
I haven't seen him.
Okay. So, next thing, kind of along the same line, with our centers, just another type of flower, filler flower that I made. And I will state right now, I don't have these in stock in the store, but I'll tell you where you can order them. Okay. I used to carry them. We ran out of room, and they're just, this is something, there aren't a lot of people doing gum paste that much, so we cut back a lot of our supplies for the gum paste stuff, which breaks my heart personally, but I get people want stuff pre-made and ready to go. So anyways, this is a silicone mold. This is from Sunflower Sugar Art. Okay, she has them on her website, and Pilar is down in, I think, Miami, Florida. So, but again, this is probably one of my most used and favorite silicone molds out there. It's just a generic 5-petal flower. Okay. But with that, I just use my little FMM plunger cutter. Okay. So I'm just going to cut. We'll just make 3 of these real quick. Okay. So cut those out. There, we're done with our gum paste. I'm going to just throw it down there with my white. It'll be all right. All right, cover the other 2 up while I'm not working with them. And for the silicone, these have just a little notch right there that you can see, hopefully. Okay, those are not there just for looks. That actually tells you where this lines up. Okay, so put your flower down in, and then, oops, there we go. Okay, push that down. Does that show? But you get this awesome veining in there, okay? And then just going over, popping it in my flower former. And like I said, I'm going to do all 3 of these. I got to turn that notch back this way so I can see this real quick. Get these done quicker. And I'm not doing a super hard press, just a quick press down. It veins it that quick and easy. Okay. If you don't have veiners or you don't want to mess with them, you can do these without. You can just do them plain. Okay. Just use your cutter, cut the 5-petal, and put it down in your flower former. That is absolutely fine. Okay. I just wanted to show you this as as an option. Okay.
Got a quick question.
Yes.
Why would a gum paste flower be used over fondant and vice versa?
Okay. Gum paste you can roll so much thinner, okay, than fondant. Gum paste also holds up amazingly better. It is not humid sensitive. Once you make your flowers, they're staying put. I literally have some. Okay, in there we've got all those. Got the wires hanging, so we'll leave those to dry. Okay, but there's our daisies and our little 5-petal filler flowers. Okay, again, the gum paste, it doesn't have the humid sensitivity. Okay, it's not as weather reliant. Where your fondant, most any fondant, even if you put the CMC powder in it, okay, I know a lot of people do that for gum paste. They'll just throw some of that in with their fondant, and it will bind up your fondant. But you still, even with that, you can't roll the fondant out as thin, okay? And again, at the end of the day, most of your commercial fondants have glycerin and other softening agents, because fondant, you want to stay soft on your cake, where gum paste, you want to be very hard, okay? So the fondant has some sort of softening agent in it, which, whatever, humid, if it rains for 3-4 days, it's going to affect your flowers and stuff, okay? All right, next thing, we're going to jump in and make roses, okay? Set my bags out of the way here. Okay, I have some pink rolled out here. And then this, we're just making quickie roses, okay? I started out many years ago. I had to cut all these with single petals that were just teardrop shapes, okay? Yes, I know how to do it, but this is just a quick, easy version to make them, all right? So I have some pink gum paste rolled out here, and this I ran out to a number 5 on the pasta machine for those taking notes at home, okay? And then these quickie cutters, we do have these here. I didn't even think to check, I hope they're on the website, but there's 5 different sizes of them. So they come in like a 50 millimeter and then go up to, I think there's 2 sizes larger than this one yet. They go up to like 110 or 120 millimeter, okay? But you just press this down, make sure you get a solid press all the way around, all right? And then, I always, with gum paste, I want to wiggle it around and make sure I have a nice, solid, clean cut, okay? And then we just want to tuck our excess away. So there we have our flower to get going. Now, next thing I want to cover that up while I'm talking to you about this. This is just a super thin foam, okay? A lot of times used for different packaging type things. I do not know if or where to even try to suggest to you to buy some. My only thought would be maybe ask if you have a cake supply store local to you, ask them if they happen to have any that they could save from some, like it comes in a lot of our pre-made flowers and stuff, or some of our royal icing decorations, this will come in, okay? But it's just, it works handy for this. Alternatively, you could use a piece of foil. You would want probably some heavy duty, because I used to use foil also for this. The foam, you don't risk getting any indentations in the bottom, which will make sense here in just a minute when I do this. The foil, you may get, have trouble with it wanting to rip your gum paste or something, which we don't want. So if you can get your hands on this works great for this, okay? So, actually, before I do this, I'm going to show you something I don't do unless I'm doing competition flowers, okay? But for what we're doing, just one second, I forgot to grab what I need for it. Okay, I want to show you how to use a ball tool to thin your edges. And again, being totally honest with you, I do not normally thin the edges of my flowers, purely because most people don't notice, okay? They don't appreciate the time you're spending doing it. And you're adding a chunk of time to it, but I do want to show you how to use these properly. Okay, I see a lot of videos where people are sitting here going like this, back and forth with them, or they'll be in here and note where the edge of my flower is, or they're in here using them like this. Okay, that's not doing any good for anything. Okay, when you use these, if you use these, you want to be the pressure of your ball, okay, so wherever the center of your ball is, you want that on the edge of your flower, okay? And you just want to lightly press down and just do long, gentle strokes with it, okay? Oh, I forgot to mention, this is Fun Foam from the craft stores, okay? Another thing that works good for this is knee pads in your gardening center. Okay, it's just a very dense foam. It has some give to it. If I tried doing this on my cutting board, well, let me show you. It doesn't work, okay? So here, let me pull this back over. This is the one I just tried doing on the cutting board. See where it basically looks all ripped, because there's no give underneath it. All right, so you just want to use them right here on the edge and on the edge of your paste, and you're just going back and forth, just doing some gentle thinning down. Okay, again, don't sit here and rock back and forth like this. That's a no-no. Don't do that. Okay. There are metal ball tools out there available. There's plastic ones. Part of our giveaway today, we have one of the plastic ones in there that we're giving away. Okay. But if you want to do this, it will, and you can see it's kind of, I guess this one you can probably see best. It gives a little bit of movement to it too. Okay. You can see where you got kind of a little wavy look. And then if you press down too hard, come over here, back over here. I'm going to press down hard on purpose. Okay. You get a lot more ripple, all right? And there are some flowers that you would want that, okay? On the edge of a lily, perhaps, you might want kind of that ruffled look. But the other thing to bear in mind, if you press down that hard where you get a lot of those ripples like that, there's a very good chance that right back in where it was the edge of your ball, you may have almost a line there that you've got to go back in and just kind of soften out a little bit, okay? Because it might show up. So just kind of bear that in mind. You may need to go back in and just rub that down. And I'm just gently kind of back and forth going over it just to work that line out. All right? So there you've got thinning. Now I'm not going to use that one just because we did so many different things. But you now know how to use your ball tools properly. Okay? So here are my flower petals that I cut out ahead of time. if I am doing any sort of production line, like say if I have 15 roses I need to make, I will go ahead, roll everything out, cut them out, and put them in Ziploc bags like this, and just have a stack of the Ziploc bags ready to go. Okay? This just speeds everything up. It's so much nicer. Alright? So there, we've got those ready. Okay, I don't need my little fun foam anymore. So there we go. I'm just trying to smooth that one that was bent in the bag. Smooth that back out just a little bit. It'll be okay. We'll use that one in the center of it where it won't show. Okay, so I have just a big floppy brush. Okay, this is just a soft nylon bristle brush, okay? And I've got my gum glue in here, getting the excess off of it. But then we're just going to go in. Oops. Put on my glasses here so I can actually see what I'm doing a little bit. And I'm going like between halfway, 2/3 of the way up the petal with the glue. Okay? You don't have to do an exact measurement or anything, all right? Just get some, and then you want some out in the center here too, okay? Don't do that. Okay. There we go. And again, we're just on my foam here. And this, you'll see now what I was talking about. If I had foil under there, and again, I did that for years, but the foil will likely, it's more likely to cut into and mess with your gum paste laying here on it, okay? So, you want to take your first petal and wrap it around. And I just got to kind of cover that where that ripped, where I had it in the bag funky. Alright. And that is like really ripping off. I'm not going to worry about it because again, this is all covered up. I'm just putting some more glue in there and tacking it down. Okay? So there you've got your first petal up. Now there's different ways. You know, some people will take the first 2 petals and wrap them up. You can do all of these. Now notice I'm leaving that unattached, okay? But then the side that I attached down, I'll turn it towards you guys. Then I'm going to come back up and start covering them up. Okay? And now where I left that unattached, I need to actually get back inside there a little bit. I talked too much while I had this out. My paste is actually starting to dry a little bit. My bad. Okay. And then, if you notice, I was going around the bottom, just kind of smoothing that down and just pressing it onto the base. Okay? Just to smooth that down on there. But then you also want to come up here. If you want any movement of those petals, you need to do that now while your paste is soft. Okay? So get them where you want them at this point. Alright? This, if you want to stop right there, that would be a good bud. I do have a little bit of a rip right there. Hopefully that's showing up on screen. Okay? I'm going to take my brush and just put a little bit of glue there just so that doesn't encourage it breaking, and just hook that down. Okay? But again, you're not going to see an awful lot of that. Alright? So again, there you could stop for your bud, if so desired, and set that aside. Now, if I were doing a bunch of these in a row, I would go through and put this first layer on all of them, okay? Get that completely done, and then come back and do your next row. Okay, just to give them some time to set up. And again, I'm just putting the glue up, like I said, about halfway-ish up the petal. Okay? So then our next layer, basically however many layers we want, just going down through the center, putting that first petal on, leaving the other side open. Okay? You always want to leave that open on your first petal, leave it open. And then come up around. And that one, I know I just ripped that down there, but that's okay. I'm watching up here at the top of the flower more. I want to make sure I've got, so then we're going back, tucking that petal in, and coming back around, okay? I'm watching up at the top to make sure I've got the petals more kind of even where I want them, as far as their height and stuff, okay? Move them around, get what you need done. And some people like it with more of a closed look, okay? And some people like them opening up a lot. If you want it more of a closed look, kind of tuck them in and pull your petals over a little bit more, okay? And there you've got more of a closed look. Your flowers, your look, you do what you want. Okay? So you could even, leave some at this stage and have some different stage bud looks. Okay? But essentially at this point you can keep going, and it is the same theory as you go around. Okay? You just keep gluing. And you just keep putting them on. Just make sure you're putting them in the same direction when you're putting your leaves on, or your petals on, I'm sorry. Just be sure you go in the same direction each time so it looks right, okay? So again, our first one we're leaving open. Oops. Remember to turn them your way so you can see.
If you were doing these for an order, how many rows would you do?
Depends on the look I want. Usually I would do 3 or 4 for what I considered a full rose. Okay? But again, it would depend too, if I were doing it, more open like this. If I were having it more of a closed type rose. Okay? Really, really depends on the look I want with them. Okay? I did one wedding years ago that I probably put, I'm going to say 6 or 7 rows on each of them. I mean, I had like super full roses, and it was probably one of my favorite cakes. I had pink roses cascading all the way down the front of the cake. But they were great big, completely full roses, okay? So we're going to stop right here with this one. Just time factor. I don't want to make you guys sit here and watch the same thing over and over. If you want a fuller rose, okay, just keep adding more rows on. The only thing though, bear in mind, typically after about 4 rows, I would stop, okay, let them dry for like 3 or 4 hours, then go back and start putting on your farther rows that are going to be more, because the more you have it cupping out, the more those rows of petals are going to want to like basically fall down and gravity take over, okay? So you're going to hit a point where you'll actually need to hang them upside down as you put each row on it, okay? And again, you could do that just like we did over here. Just kind of hang them upside down. best thing, go look for a pasta dryer. Okay, it's just, it has a whole bunch of like wood dowels sticking out in different directions, and you can just put a little loop up here at the top and just hang them to dry. Okay, but don't fight gravity, work with it. Okay, you could also make something just with some wire hangers. You could cut them apart, and I did this before also, before I found my pasta drying rack. I took some wire hanger and just basically made like a big U kind of shape, stuck it down in this, and then hung these from it. Okay? We have questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have some questions here real quick.
Okay, what size is the wire you're using for the rose?
18 gauge wire for the rose.
Okay.
And then I use 26 gauge wire for my filler flowers. And then also for the leaves, I'm going to show you here in just a second.
And then what do you use to clean the glue off of the brush once you're done?
Just some water. Clean it with some water, like some Dawn dish soap and water. Just swirl it around and it'll clean right off. Okay.
And then, oh yes, someone wanted to know if you were self-taught or if you have accumulated this through classes.
Both. So, when I first got started, our local supply store here had classes, and a lady named Sissy Mead here in Jackson did amazing work. She was, I believe, probably one of the only ones around that even did gum paste at that time. But I went and took she taught a gum paste class, and I think there were like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 of us in there. It's just a Wilton class way back when. And I loved it. I sat home the first week after she showed us stuff. I sat home and I went back in with like a whole bunch of flowers, and her eyes just lit up and she went nuts. She was so excited because she said nobody's ever jumped on and taken off with them like that. So I worked what I could from there, and then we had at that time 2 young kids, very young kids. I was a stay-at-home mom, so we did not have a lot of spare funds, but we saved up, and I took a trip down to Norcross, Georgia, and I took I believe it was either a 3 or 5 day class with Nicholas Lodge. If you have the opportunity to take a gum paste class with Nick, I cannot more highly recommend anyone than him. I know they are a little on the pricey side. Money well spent, I promise you. You will get so much out of this. What I picked up down there from him, just it drove me from there. But once I had that class with him, at that point I could look at pictures, and I started subscribing to all the magazines from England because they were more into the fondant and gum paste. Nobody around here really was at that time. So, I was getting all these ideas and stuff from overseas, but then I also, after I went down to Oklahoma State Fair and entered, did very well. So I was on cloud 9 when I walked into this class, but Alan Dunn was over here and taught a class after the competition. So I've taken a class with Nick and with Alan. Those were probably my 2 biggest highlights, because both of them do phenomenal gum paste work. So I kind of idolize them. There's a guy now that I've seen his work, Robert Bradford or Bradshaw. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry, I'm probably messing up. Maybe someone on here knows. He does amazing work also. And I think he's from England also. So it's the stuff in England. If you ever have the opportunity to go to the NEC. It's the national. No, I can't remember what the NEC stands for, but it's the NEC Cake Show in Birmingham, England. You will be blown away if you are at all into fondant and gum paste. The stuff they do over there is just mind-boggling. So, okay. We have another question?
How would you place these on the cake, either with wire or icing? Or...
We are going to still wire these, or tape these together. Oh my gosh, we're already at an hour. Oh, you guys! I'm sorry. Okay, this is gonna run late. I gotta stop yapping. Yes, you tape them together, and then I recommend either wrap, anytime you have anything wrapped together like that, tape together, you know, a stem, something you need to put down in the cake, take some white chocolate, melt it, and dip your stem down into that to protect it, or take your some aluminum foil, wrap around it before you stick it in the cake. I'm not a big fan of putting these wires directly into a cake, okay? So even if you're doing like a big swag coming down or something, I urge you, just put it in some, you know, make clusters even, and put the clusters, rather than just sitting there with single flowers poking and prodding your cake, okay? You're gonna mess with the integrity of your cake, and if you've got, you know, 50 different stems and wires and stuff sticking in, you're gonna start breaking your cake down, and we don't want that, obviously. All right, for leaves, I want to show you another method here to attach the wire to your leaves. All right, so I've got, again, my 26 gauge wire, my gum glue, and then just a little pea-size ball of gum paste I'm going to put in there, and most of it I'm pulling back off. All right, just kind of working that on there, and then take your leaf, put that on the back, and just kind of press it down in. Okay, it is attached at that point. Then I have, this is just an all-purpose leaf veiner, a silicone one that we sell. Okay, and just press, pull it off, and you, whoops. There, can you see all the veins, cool veins you get on there? Okay. And then again, if you want some movement, you can do that now. All right, these are small enough that I literally just go right over to my foam and stick them in there. They aren't going to bend and go all over the place, okay? If you're making really long leaves or something, you may need to take some crumpled foil and lay down for them to kind of form over, all right? But again, these are smaller leaves. They aren't going to do anything, okay? So we dipped our wire in the gum glue, a little bit of gum paste. We are just twisting that around, twisting right between my fingers, okay? And my leaf shape I cut out. I'm just pressing that wire into the center of the back. Back side down in the veiner. Press that down, and you got a leaf. Okay? There we go. All right, so put those away real quick here. All right, we've shown you basically how to make everything. Okay, so Magic O Camera, and I am not going to sit here and dust all these, just purely time factor. I had no idea where we were at. Sorry about that. So we have, let me do one of the purple ones because that'll show up good. All right, so this is just some of our orchard plum, and definitely got pop glasses back on for this. Let's see. Grab a brush here. And I'm just getting some out just so I can, I don't want a lot on my brush, okay? So I'm going to take one of the flowers and start out at the edge, okay? And just kind of dust it back in towards the center, okay? So I'm hitting the edge out there and just kind of lifting once I'm at the edge. All right? So there we have dusted flower versus undusted, okay? And just that little bit, you can see kind of what that, whoops, I gotta fix that a little bit more. I missed a spot or two. Okay. So there you can see the difference just with that little bit, okay? But then I normally go back in also and hit the centers of them. And this, I will say right now, this is murder on your brushes when I do this, okay? So I go in right around that center and I just kind of roll it around in there a little bit. So there you can see, kind of accented the green, but then I put a little bit out there. So when I rolled that around like that, it kind of tears the brush up a little bit, but you get some of that green out there, what would be on, you know, the base of the flowers, petals, okay? So you can see a huge difference just between, you know, a quick dusting and not dusting them, all right? And with the, here, I'll take a full rose. And again, I am not going to dust all these flowers, all right, until once I get off air. I will do them and then I'll finish it up and then post pictures, okay? Because I'm going to guess you guys are probably getting ready for lunch and whatnot.
What shade of green did you throw on there?
That one I did a, that was green apple. So it's just, it's a very light, you know, kind of like a Granny Smith apple sort of color. Okay, nothing too dark. Have a little yellowish tone to it. All right, so pink, I have different shades out here. This is some honeysuckle. This one's some rosewater. And it's kind of depending on what I'm doing. I'll turn it towards you guys so you can see better. All right. And I just go down in that center and I just swirl around in there. Okay. Your center of your flowers are always the darkest. All right, so I'm just kind of going down in there and just hitting that hard with some dust, okay? So even that little bit, if that's all you do, you've already made a huge difference in it, okay? Just kind of bringing it to life a little bit. If you want to go further with it though, you can come out here and hit the edges of all your petals. And I'm hopefully this shows up okay. I'm just going across the top edges of those. Okay? Just trying to add a little highlight and movement to the flower. I think this is the first time I've ever worked completely away from myself, so hopefully you guys are seeing okay what I'm doing here. So again, we've got that. You could hit it with a little bit darker shade if you want on some of those petals. You know, your exterior ones. On yellow flower, when I do yellow roses, I love hitting the tips of these with red. Those look super, super cool. Okay. So don't be afraid to experiment with some different colors on there. Okay, so there we have dusted flower. And then again, you can kind of see the difference here between the two of them. And then grab one of the daisies here. Now these, you can just hit the centers if you wanted and leave them white. All right, there you can see the difference. You could do that if you just wanted to leave them white. You could also go out on the edge of those. If you want to bring just a little bit of yellow into it. Well, there we had a petal casualty, and I'm trying to hold my finger up against those while I'm brushing. Obviously I didn't do that too swell because I snapped one. So we have man down there. And that's why you always make extras, something fragile like the daisies, okay? But there's one. A little bit of yellow out on the edge, and I did the green apple right in the center of it, okay? So there you can see that difference. It's really amazing what the petal dust does just to bring these to life, okay? So there you've got some dusted flowers, okay? And you want to do the same thing with your greens too. That's shown okay? All right. With the leaves, a lot of times I'll hit them 2 or 3 colors. Just, it depends on what I'm feeling, what look I want to roll with. Okay. There's no set. Let's grab a little bit bigger brush here. Ooh, okay, that was way darker than what I wanted to hit with first. We're going back in with some light here. Holy biscuit. Let's see what I get trying to rush. Alright, and I'm going to hit it with some of the really light here. Just because that's way too dark. Alright. So there we just dusted that just to get some different shades on it, okay? And always start with something a lot lighter than what you want for your finish. But with the rose leaves, something I learned years ago, and I can't even stress how much I like this, okay? You might be sitting there going, red leaves, what? But if you take some red, some burgundy, something like that, and go around your edges and just hit on the edges out there, okay? And then also, if you look at the back of rose petal or rose leaves, quite often, okay? And if that turned up a little bit darker than what you want, just go back over it with some of your green just to tone it down. And you can do the same thing on the back too if you want to tame that down just a little bit. Alright. So there you have start and finish on dusting with the leaves. Okay. Now, is everyone still with me okay, or do you want me to tape these together in a separate video and just post it? You guys want to watch me tape them together? What do we get? What's preference? Keep rolling. All right, we'll go ahead. I will show you just some basics of taping. I'm not going to tape the entire thing together. We'll just cover a few things real quick for you. Okay? And I'm sitting here looking, realizing I completely forgot to grab my tape. That might help. All right, just 1 second. Let me grab the tape, and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. So, floral tape. If you have not used floral tape before, right off the roll, it is not sticky. Okay? This is a tape cutter. I've covered in a lot of the other videos how to use them. Okay? Just the top comes up. There's a blade inside. And put your tape through, and then pull it, and you get half-width tape. Reason for doing this is you don't get quite the bulk of tape, especially working with smaller flowers like this, okay? So, this is not necessarily what I would do, how I'm going to tape them together. I'll put the, like I said, I'll put the whole arrangement together later and show you, but I do want to stress a couple things. So your filler flowers, typically, you're going to want those kind of sticking out from your main flower. If I just came in and tried taping all of these right down here onto my rose, then I'm going to have all these loose wires out here, okay? And chances are these flowers are going to bang into my rose just while I'm twisting everything around. Plus, all the wires are going to look weird out there, so we don't want that. But you got a lot higher risk of everything breaking on you, okay? So, work in clusters. Put your smaller clusters together first. So what you want to stick out furthest, okay, I probably want a leaf to stick out. So I want to tape the leaf to my flower that I want sticking out furthest. Alright, and I just pinged off another petal. That happens. You can leave it like that. You can try going back in, adhering that. You could try, there are some products on the market. I haven't used any of them. I would just replace the flower or see if I can cover it up with some, with a leaf or something. Alternatively, you could try some royal icing or some white chocolate just to stick your petal back on, okay? But we're going to keep going just to show you taping this together. So a little farther down here, then I want my flower to come in. Alright, so we'll tape that on. Let me grab, I know it's not dusted, but we'll just grab another leaf to put down here. Okay. So essentially you want to just be sure that you are, like I said, tape your clusters, tape all that together as one unit, okay? So now you don't have a whole bunch of flower or a whole bunch of wires, you just have one that you need to adhere, okay? So then same thing with my bud, most likely I would want a leaf or two on there, okay? So I would want to tape the leaf onto my bud, and I'll go ahead and tape this on, and I'll just untape it and dust everything. All right, so tape what you want on there. But then come back in. Okay, so I want this arrangement sticking off there a little bit. So then I'm going to come back in and tape that together at that point. All right, and I would probably make like 2 or 3 sprays like this and then start taping all of those in together with my main flower, okay? And keep building from there. All right, any questions on taping together? Okay, but now you can see even when I'm spinning this around, I don't have my flowers pinging into each other and everything flying around. It's all staying put where I want it because I started taping in clusters and putting stuff together. Okay? So I definitely really encourage that. But then you can go back in and move stuff around where you want it and kind of arrange it a little bit. Okay? So, any other questions at this point? All right. Do we have a winner for our prize? Oh, Eric is saying yes, we do. Who is our lucky winner today?
A Brenda Stid.
Brenda. Oh, I think Brenda has been with us every single class, I believe, because I go back and look through comments after we get done. Congratulations, Brenda. So we have, I think she's here local actually too. Not sure if she's in Jackson or Lansing, but I think she's somewhere in the area. Brenda, send me your name or your address and I will get these sent out to you. Congratulations. Cool. And then I will finish dusting all these flowers and get them all taped together. And then I will have a picture on, I would guess it's probably going to take me an hour or so. I got some stuff out front. I got to take care of a couple orders that people are coming to pick up too. So, like I said, it might be an hour or 2 today. Bear with me, folks. But I will get these completely dusted and get a nice picture on there for you, a good close-up. Okay? And if you have any other questions, I know we kind of rushed through this last little bit here because I looked at the clock and kind of did my, oh, oops, moment. But if you have any other questions, please feel free, just put them on. I do go back through and read through the comments and try and answer anything if we missed it during the filming. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you on Monday. I'm not sure which order I'm doing the classes, what one I'm doing on Monday next week. So as soon as I decide, I will get that posted probably tomorrow. And hopefully you will join us on Monday at 11 a.m. Thanks so much for coming in today, and we will have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.